Okay, tell me when, Naomi. Okay, welcome back to the jungle. After 15 months away, I recently boarded Metro North in Katona for the long ride to Grand Central and a day in the city. After talking here at the library about the pandemic shutting down so many patterns of life and then things starting to gradually reopen, what was this major milestone of normality getting on the train to the city like? Well, first, I have to say, getting the Pfizer vaccine made it all possible. Have vaccine, will travel. My partner Naomi and I bought a 10 pass of tickets and we were eager to get back on the train. So being on the train from Katona felt so natural to me after decades of traveling on it. Wearing a mask on the train, well, that wasn't so natural feeling. And the hour and 22 minutes ride, well, that's longer than ever due to making more local stops, but that gave me more time to read. Finally, we chugged into the tunnel at 96th Street in the subterranean last 10 minutes to Grand Central. The station was quieter than usual, with stores still shuttered. And I didn't see any paper schedules in the information booth with that fabled clock on it in the middle of the floor, a meeting place for travelers for generations. So after reading about the rising crime rate in the city, I felt anxious stepping outside of Grand Central. I had emptied my wallet of most credit and store cards before I left home, just in case. I hit Vanderbilt Avenue in full situational awareness mode, ready for any source of trouble. But instead, I encountered a city that's still in snooze mode. The honking, the traffic, the midtown crowds, mostly that's gone. Heading for the Metropolitan Museum, we strolled up Fifth Avenue. The streets felt eerily empty for a bright spring mid-morning. The photos I took made it look like a Sunday, even on the touristy stretches of Fifth Avenue. But well, why would I expect anything else? What tourists want to visit New York with the pandemic still on and a lot of attractions like Broadway Theater closed? Plus, hundreds of thousands of office workers like I used to be are still pounding their laptops at home. We're gone. How many of us are coming back at all? But well, the museum visits were a real treat. That's not changed. At the Met, we viewed the retrospective of portrait painter Alice Neal. I'd never seen any of her work before. That was worth 2 hours of strolling and reading, followed by an iced coffee and caramel brownie in the cafeteria. Next stop, a bus down Fifth Avenue to reach the Morgan Library on Madison Avenue. We saw the amazing David Hockney Drawing from Life exhibit. Its brilliant idea was to gather portraits Hockney did of 4 people over the course of decades, along with self-portraits. One of the subjects was in fact Hockney's mother. His ability to capture the aging process over 50 years of relationships was very striking. I've never seen anything like it before. Well, we had dinner at Jackson Hole, a burger place on 3rd Avenue, dining al fresco in a tent set up outside. From there, we walked up Madison Avenue to Grand Central on the train back home. So, I always carry a camera with me, and looking at the photos I took, they show a lonesome city, famous stores with nobody in front of them, wide open avenues, isolated people. Well, friends who live in the city, they tell me they're happy enough, they're not crazed. Still, from what I read, the place is sliding backward while Mayor Nero fiddles while Rome burns. More attacks, more graffiti, more anti-Semitism, back to the era of Needle Park, if you're familiar with that term. Even the return of the pestilential squeegee men. All we need now is to complete the 70s, 80s urban collapse vibe is for the music place CBGB's to reopen and for the defunct Village Voice to start publishing again. To be fair, my view from Fifth Avenue was sunny and it left me surprisingly hopeful. The place was actually cleaner than I expected, but still I was seeing a very narrow slice of urban life. The feeling of lighthearted safety I enjoyed for decades in the city has sadly diminished. Maybe I'm paranoid or maybe I'm just being realistic. Well, we're just already planning our next trip in, and that's going to be to the Museum of Art and Design at Columbus Circle and the Museum of Modern Art. I'm sure we're going to have a great time. I'm pulling for New York because that's where I lived or worked for over 40 years. I want it to bounce back. I want it to succeed. And maybe it will. It's happened before, after 9/11, after the financial collapse, don't keep a good place down. But it's going to take some tough-minded leadership. As corporations start prying workers back out of their home offices, maybe the critical mass of people could brighten the place and get the tourists back. Maybe the place needs a new mayor. I think Rudy Giuliani has passed his sell-by date now, but you know, maybe a tough-minded facsimile could do the trick. And by the way, today I learned that the Village Voice has published its first issue since 2017, which was amazing. So the Village Voice is back. Hope is going to spring eternal. Thank you.